Morning, Stuart. Morning, Sandra. Morning, Scottish van driver. Morning, Jim. Morning, Brian. Morning, last Braveheart. Morning, old Nick. Morning, Harry. Morning, Stephen. Morning, BJ. Morning, Karen. Morning, John. Morning, David. Morning, Jan. Morning, Joe. Morning, Harry. Morning, Alex. Morning, Isabel. Could go on there forever. Right, there's a fair few years on board, so let's get this broadcast underway. Andy Truck Davey at the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is overcast, dry at the moment, 12 degrees. Now, I'm sorry about the interruptions to the broadcast yesterday with the power outages and the breakdown of the bloody internet. So let's hope things go better today, yeah? Anyway, let's get this news review underway. This is the news review of the 11th to the 10th, 2022, better known to you and me as yesterday. Alright, Tuesday started with one main team in the rags. Well, in the serious rags anyway. The serious rags run on First Minister Nicola Sturgeon's plan for a national investment fund of 20 billion over the first decade of independence. So that's the story in the serious rags. We'll get a wee bit more into that in a minute. And in the red tops, it's about a nurse poisoning children, or babies actually, newborn babies. But we'll get to that in a second. Alright. So the headlines in the serious rags is Sturgeon plans to bank on oil and gas fund, apparently. Alright. Not true at all. Scotland's got a diverse energy market, but what the rags are saying is that after independence, the money that's raised through tax revenues for oil and gas, 10 billion apparently over the first 20 billion apparently over the first 10 years. A lot of rubbish, of course. It'll be a lot more than that because we'll adopt the Norwegian tax method for tax in the North Sea, and the revenues will be massive. But anyway, Sturgeon's plans is 20 billion of an investment fund over the first 10 years. I guess the rest of the money will go into public services. Anyway, the rags are rubbishing it, of course. Because as we all know, the availability of oil and the amount of oil reserves that Scotland has shrinks and increases depending on how prevalent the cause for independence is at any point in time. So if we're on the cusp of independence as we are at the moment, then of course oil and gas reserves are running out. But of course, if independence is away down the line, then oil and gas is going to keep the UK economy stable forever. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, the plan is a national investment fund of 20 billion to support the economy and infrastructure for the first decade after independence. Okay. Of course, Scotland intends to run down gas, oil and gas in transition to green energy. In fact, we're well on the way. Revenues for oil and gas will help in that transition. We will still sell oil and gas to countries that are behind the curve on getting up to speed with green energy. Now, as I say, I think Ms Sturgeon underestimates the tax revenues as an independent Scotland will adopt a Norway-style tax regime on the industry. So, that's the truth of it. Oil and gas is no running out, as we know. Westminster's just issued a wee of licences for exploration up there in the North Sea. And when we become independent, that will be a valuable revenue stream. Up until we're at the point where we start shutting it down. And all this crap about we won't be able to afford decommissioning. We won't be paying for decommissioning. These oil and gas giants that have been out there raping billions out of the seas will pay for decommissioning. It's their junk, they put it in, they'll take it out. Simple as that. Right, as to the baby poisoner in the red tops, nurse in England's been injecting newborn babies with either air or insulin to kill them. She's facing charges of 7 murders. I think it's in Northampton Hospital. I'm not sure, I didn't pay that much attention. Crime stories are not really up my street. Anyway, it's monstrous. Absolutely monstrous. Right, moving on. Tuesday, and Westminster is recalled and is back in session. Chancellor in the Exchequer, Kwasi Kwarteng, is roasted in the chamber over his mini budget and urged to do a U-turn by his own MPs as well as opposition parties. He also gets slaughtered by his own MPs over moves to cut benefits basically, and pensions. So the idea is Kwarteng's going to, and Truss don't want to raise benefits and pensions by the rate of inflation, which is running just over 10% at the moment. So what they're planning on doing is actually raising benefits and pensions in line with the average wage rise at the moment, which is 6%, which would be a real terms 4% benefit cut. The same way others in the private sector have been whacked with a real-time wage cut because employers in the private sector are not paying 10%. We just done it. There we have it. Wage inflation isn't really the cause of the problem, is it? Inflation is already above wage inflation. Well, anyway, so Kwarteng's getting pelters for his MPs on that as well. And Merrill West forced into a U-turn, all right. Right, moving on. Tuesday. And once again, the International Monetary Fund issues a fresh warning to the UK over Truss and Kwarteng's monetary and economic direction. The IMF joins Tory MPs, opposition parties, and every man in his dug calling on Trussonomics to be binned and the course to be reversed as the economy goes into free fall. Okay, also Tuesday, Bank of England steps in once again to shore up the gilts market. Monday's intervention was a 60 billion spending spree, buying up gilts from the pension sector again. So 60 billion this week, 65 billion last Monday, another 125 billion worth of debt piled onto the UK credit card, and all because of discredited Trussonomics. So, mortgage market and housing markets readied, pension market teetering, with the Bank of England having to step in once again and buy up huge amounts of gilts to the pensions companies in order to keep them afloat, to ensure that they can cover what they've got to cover. They say Davy's no chuff with this one. Davy's 55 next month. Davy's been investing heavily in his pension for many years. And I'm able to draw it after next month. Not good. But at this point in time, the Bank of England keep making sure Davy gets his money. Whether the Bank of England will keep intervening in the gilts market to make sure Davy gets his money, I'm not quite sure. But pensions market's crashing. Housing market's crashing. Economy as a whole's crashing. We'll get a wee bit more of that as we go in. Trussonomics have been absolutely slaughtered. Just won't work. You can't have growth in the economy if your population doesn't have any money to spend in the economy. Disposable income is shrinking at a rapid rate of knots, which means contraction in the markets. And we'll get a wee bit more of that as we go further in as well. Also Tuesday, Trussonomics takes another blow as they are told that borrowing 45 billion to finance tax cuts would see the need for 60 billion in cuts to public services. I guess NHS England's about to go up for sale. The NHS in Scotland, England, Northern Ireland and Wales are the biggest money eaters. A move to an insurance-based system in England would release the government's need to fund the NHS. As long as Scotland stays in the Union, we'll be forced to follow suit. Are you yes yet? Anyway, so 60 billion cuts to public services year on year to fund Trussonomics, 45 billion year on year tax cuts. Oh, what a bargain, eh? There's Trussonomics for you. Borrow 45 billion to cut taxes today and have it to slash 60 billion year on year after bloody public services to cover it. That year on year tax cut. So Truss is under huge pressure to do a U-turn along with Kwasi Kwarteng. Right. Also Tuesday, down that road, Truss and Kwarteng do a U-turn on windfall taxes and the energy market. As usual, they get it wrong. This time, as opposed to taxing big oil and gas giants, there's a smack to Scotland's economy. As I say, rather than impose a windfall tax on oil and tax giants who are predicted to make 170 billion in profits over the next 2 years, Truss and Kwarteng set their sights on the renewable sector. So windfall tax on wind energy. This will slow investment in the sector down, having a massive impact on Scotland's economy. The Tories are hell-bent on wrecking the economy and the environment in England. And they'll come for Scotland eventually. But water companies killing England's water courses and coastal areas by pumping huge amounts of human excrement into the water courses. And that's being allowed because regulation to stop it was voted down by the Tories, who are making vast profits out of selling water to the English, because they own the private companies or shares in them. And of course, they intend to introduce fracking, which will add fracking fluid into the mix in the water courses in England. When are the people in Little England going to wake the hell up? Your environment's being killed. Our efforts up here to transition to a clean system have also been hampered by your voting intentions, you muppets. Wow. Oofed. Also Tuesday, former Chancellor, Tory Chancellor, and architect of 330,000 people's across these islands premature deaths via austerity 1.0, George Osborne pops his murderous head above the parapet to say Trussonomics is crazy, and we'll see austerity 2.0 super cool take place. All right. No much chance of that, Georgie boy, as the press in England are telling the people in England that the austerity project 1.0 has killed 300,000 of their citizens, 20,000 Scottish citizens, 6,000 Welsh citizens and 4,000 Northern Irish citizens from 2012 to 2019. A total of 330,000 premature deaths across these islands because of George Osborne's murderous policy. But here is the cheeky bugger sticking his head above the parapet to tell Truss, don't do it. Don't go for austerity 2.0 with your mad Trussonomics. What's Georgie boy's logic? Well, he reckons the people in England will notice if Mary and Miriam start dying quicker. Whereas his long protracted cull of our relatives and friends wasn't quite noticed by the people in England, so they keep voting bloody Tory. But Truss's austerity 2.0 on stilts, including the energy crisis, I think the people in England are going to notice this time. And so does Georgie boy. So the mass murderer Osborne pops his head above the parapet to tell Truss, you're moving too fast, hen. You're killing too many with this policy. Reverse. Right, that's enough of the madness down that road for now, eh? Let's look at Scotland. Tuesday, Scotland's case for Indirect 2 hits its first day in the court, the Supreme Court. Now, the judges, they will hear 2 days of submissions, then the judges will retire to consider the matter for the next few months. Kicking off proceedings is Scotland's Lord Advocate, Dorothy Bain, KC. She says it's imperative that the question on legislative consent being necessary for Westminster to be settled because it's in the interest of the people of Scotland. We need to know whether we're a partner in a union entitled to ask herself a question, or if we're slaves in a colony for exploitation of our labour and natural resources. Sir James Eadie, KC, for the UK government, he's a so-called independent barrister, argued that the case should not be heard as the Independence Bill had not been passed by Holyrood. He says this is all hypothetical at this point in time. I think that was the argument that the judges in Edinburgh had against Martin Keating's case, was it not? Anyway, he also added that the Constitution is reserved. He didn't say whose Constitution is reserved, Scotland's or England's. But he said the Constitution's reserved, which takes him away from the line that the government wanted him to take, and that was that the Union was reserved, the treaty. So, I don't know whether he made a boo-boo or what. Anywho, day 2 is today, and it's being streamed live if any are interested or minded to watch it. I'm no interested or minded to watch it. I'll read what the commentators have to say, and I'll commentate on what the commentators have to say. At this point in time, everybody's money's on the UK Supreme Court saying that Scotland's a colony and doesn't have a right to ask itself questions, and there were slaves, slave labourers, and our resources are there to be exploited for economic gain of England, because that's what being a colony is. So this court case will decide whether we're a colony and a free people, and a partner and a treaty and in a partnership, or if we're a colony. I might even say that we're subsumed into Greater England, and that we don't exist. You never know. But more likely they'll sit on the fence. That's not what the rags are predicting, but more likely they'll sit on the fence and say it's political and walk away. Because as we've seen, UK law, English law, it doesn't overrule Scots law. Maybe it was a boo-boo not passing this bill first. Never know. Also Tuesday here in Scotland, energy costs energy costs soaring sees demand for solar panels and solar energy for domestic dwellings and small and medium-sized enterprises go through the roof. All right. Renewed green energy boss Brian Middleton tells the press the sector is booming and his company is frantic and manic with demand. Right, Mr. Middleton says his business has gone from 5 to 10 inquiries a week to 30 to 40 inquiries a week, with the majority looking to go ahead with an install. Suppliers of solar equipment are struggling to keep up. And so there you have it, folks. Energy costs spark a green revolution in Scotland. So what's Truss doing? You're right. Truss is taxing renewables. Unbelievable. Anyway, you think about it right now. She's about to drain Scotland's renewable sector of the money, the way that they drain Scotland's oil and gas money. That's the plan. So all these people rushing out to go off grid. It's quite wise. But once again, of course, poor people can't afford to do that. So the rich can go off grid and the poor people will get banged more as the energy companies want to keep the profits up. But when you get so many people going off grid or slashing what they're going to be spending to the energy companies, don't expect energy costs to come down anytime soon, because there'll be less consumers buying it and the cost will remain as high. Hi Australia. Right, also Tuesday it's announced that Scotland has a record number of women in the workforce. Latest employment figures show that 74.9%, so let's call that 75% of working age females are employed. Scotland's overall employment figures show that 75.8%, so let's call it 76%, of all 16 to 64-year-olds in Scotland are gainfully employed. The UK-wide figure was 75.5%. There's a downside to it, but unemployment is rising. the last data set which was released, figures for unemployment in Scotland was at 3.1%. That rose to 3.3%. Expect that to rocket, as recent surveys have shown that the hospitality sector is about to go into meltdown and shutdown. The Night Times Industry Survey says that 7 out of 10 pubs might well be closed by Christmas. That's an awful lot of employees hitting the door. We've got bakeries going out of business that can't afford their energy costs. So that figure is set to rise. Now, the latest predictions by the OBR for unemployment is 5.5 to 5.9%. But if you remember in 2016, the prediction was 9.9%. I expected to get as high as 9.9%, looking at the large picture on how things are going. So that's the unemployment figures starting to rise as well. And that's the way it's going to go going forward. Money is fleeing the UK at a rapid rate of knots. And the pound isn't recovering, folks, but we'll get a wee bit more of that towards the end of the broadcast. And we've already spoke about the Bank of England having to step in and shore up the gilts markets. SMEs are going tits up because of energy costs and, of course, demand for higher wages to cover the cost of living crisis. And the shutting down of the access to the UK market, the EU market of 450 million people. None of this makes economic sense, folks, which makes us believe that it's deliberate. They are deliberately crashing the economy. Don't know why. Well, we do know why. Disaster capitalists make money out of disasters. And the cabinet, they're a bunch of crooked disaster capitalists. They're probably involved in insider trading as well, to be honest with you. Right, also Tuesday, the Scotland Scare story and the Pravda is if we become independent, the economy and borders will be a problem. Apparently, if we become independent and if we don't gain full access to the EU right away, Scotland will become an economic basket case because England won't buy for us, apparently, according to the Pravda. Never had so much shite in all your life. I've said this before, I'll say it again, they'll come crawling up that road with a broken glass to get a trade deal with Scotland. Goods, services, a lot. They need what we have got: oil, gas, whiskey, electricity, water, to name a few. Food. They require food. Lots of it. England imports 60% of its foodstuffs. And if England is importing 60% of our excess or our production at this point in time, they'll still need that 60% after independence. As to borders, I've already spoke about borders. We'll join EFTA. That'll be quick. That'll mean that we can trade with England along the same lines as the Northern Ireland arrangement. We'll be using single market, accessing single market, free movement of people. Will accept the 4 pillars that the European Union set on, and will trade with England on the same rules that the Northern Ireland trades with our UK on at the moment through a protocol type thing. There will be impositions on goods, but we'll stay in the common travel area, so there won't be any imposition on people. So these are just scare stories. Even if we don't join the EU and we stay outside the EU, we'll come to a trade agreement with England, one way or another. Even if we stay in EFTA, then we can negotiate a free trade deal with England that way. Scare stories, that's all they are. And when they talk about how you're going to manage borders, how does anybody else do it? We'll copy and paste best practice. We're a bright, intelligent people. I'm fed up saying that. So I am. Okay. As I say, Westminster crawl up that road for a trade agreement. Believe me, they need what we've got. and we have abundance of it. Oil, gas, water, electricity, they need it all. We've got plenty of it. We're their closest neighbours. Same goes with foods and goods. Hey, okay, right, and finally I did say I'd get back to talking about the pound. Well, the pound rallied a wee bit last week to about 113, 114 to the dollar, but it's settled around about 110, 111 at the moment, and we watch it fluctuating during the day. But if you're in the market, in the currency markets right now, pound to dollar is $1.10, 10. $1.1077. So there you go, $1.10, nearly $1.11. The pound's still bombing. It's holding steady about 113 against the euro. Fluctuation there and all. So the buying power of the UK and its marketplace has been incredibly weakened by the idiots in number 10. Oh, and the other one in number 11. Right then. That's what I've got for you today. I hope you found it interesting and informative. Let's move on and see what the rags have got to say. Right, Scotland's papers. Indy Ref 2 Supreme Court case and pensions threat. The Scotsman. Scotland faces month-long wait for referendum ruling. Of course, we know that. We're not expecting the result in January. Anybody who thinks otherwise is mental. I'll just tell you, they'll go and sit in a wee office somewhere, have a look at the books, and then eventually say, bugger this. We'll tell them it's political. The Looney Rag Express has willy-nilly Indy Ref 2 bid must be shut down. Oh, shut up, stupid right-wing wag. And apparently King Chuck's in Scotland, thanking people round about Balmoral, I think it was the village of Barter or something like that, for showing their kindness during when his mother passed. Very nice. The National has Indy Ref case a matter of exceptional importance. Lord Advocate presents arguments on why Holyrood can hold vote, saying referendums not a reserved matter. Exclusive John Cherry cautiously optimistic of backing of Scots Government bill. There you go. The Telegraph has Stirling falls as bank pulls plug on pensions help. I guess they're not going to intervene again then. The Times has threat to pensions as bank cuts its support. It didn't cut its support, but obviously it's saying it's not going to do it again. And the green power firms face windfall tax to fund lower energy bills. So there you go. Scotland's energy market gets scudded. The Herald has banks blocked from branch closures and new crackdown. Rules aim to protect cash access for vulnerable. Talking about which, folks, as you all know, the G7 finance ministers are cracking on with their plans for a digital currency to take off the paper money. If you don't want them doing that, start using money. Because if you don't know about that, David and I have talked about it. Read into it, it's important. Right, the has Truss bid to silence rebels with cap on energy profits. Hit the wrong market though, didn't she? The oil and gas giants are still up to make 170 billion, whereas those producing renewable energy, they're doing it cheaply. It's not their fault that they're making huge profits at the moment. You can blame that on oil and gas. Scottish Daily Mail now move bank holiday for the coronation. Oh aye, the date of Charlie's coronation down that road has been announced, and I think it's the 6th of May next year. Aye, May 6th. As if we care. Lucky new, and the other headline in the Mail is about the nurse that was killing babies. The Record has flushed Tobin's ashes down the toilet. Seem to be obsessed with this guy Tobin. What else we got? We got a star of the day. We'll get a star of the day. Here we go. The Daily Star of Scotland. Fake astronaut tricks woman out of 27k to rescue him from space. I love you to the moon and back. Wow, there's some real spanners out there. Imagine somebody saying to you, I'm stuck in space, give me 27 grand to get back. She must have been a right divvy racking. I'm stuck in space. I can't get my space rocket. They're going to send me 27,000 quid to fill the tank. Hey, Lee, you're working in the travel industry and people are not going ahead with booking holidays for next year. I'm not surprised. You know, we're going to see that. I mean, the travel industry, they're all going to take a tanking. Right. That's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope you found it informative. And I hope the delivery was cheery enough. Or sombre enough, depending on what the piece was. All right. 27,000 to get back to space. Hey, missus, I've ran out of rocket fuel. Going to send me 27 grand because the price of rocket fuel's rocketed. Brilliant. The two Davies chat show happens a day at 4 o'clock. Oh, actually, it does. I will move it for Thursday because Davies got something to do tomorrow. So, that reminds me, folks, no broadcast tomorrow morning. Davies got somewhere to be. Sarah and I have somewhere we need to be. All right, but normal service will resume again on Friday. So, the usual stuff. Eyes on the prize. The campaign's definitely afoot. And as I say, the scare stories are starting. The economy and borders was the target. We're already having, but believe me, currency will be coming up and all. You know, we won't accept running your monetary policies and all that. I mean, the idea of holding on to sterling for 10 years until you build up your own reserve bank, fair dues. But the way sterling is, and the minute we become independent, wow, it's going to fall off a cliff. So the Scottish currency will be forthcoming very, very quickly. All right. So there's a campaign underway, folks. Eyes on the prize. Learn your how you gonies. Get out there and win hearts and minds. The game's afoot. All right. Support the independent media. Support Broadcasting Scotland. Support Independence Live, Indie Live Radio. Support Caledon Media. Support Trues Radio. Support the iScot magazine and support the national newspapers. Support independent bloggers and bloggers. And if they've got a crowdfunder gone and you can afford to throw a shekel in the pot, please do. Some of these people do fantastic work. Okay. And remember, folks, on the health messaging, because the virus hasn't gone away, 748 people in hospital, 44 deaths last week. So the last two bits of guidance is face coverings in closed public spaces and keep your hands and surfaces clean. Now, if you're not feeling great, mask up. Show a social consciousness and be aware of your friends and neighbours and don't pass bugs on. Just mask up if you're not feeling well and social distance if you're not feeling well. And of course, if you're still using NHS lateral flow tests, please submit your results. Use guys in the health and social care sector live in our communities, so it helps measure what's there in our communities. Now, thanks for watching the day, guys. As I say, Sarah and I have got something very important we have to do tomorrow, so I won't be available tomorrow. But hopefully normal service will resume on Friday. Okay. Now, you guys have a lovely day, and we'll see you all soon. Bye then. Oh, the two Davies, 4 o'clock this afternoon. All right, okie dokie.